for himself as we're here in the picks and bans. I think there's a bit of a visual bug on our screen right now as the bans currently overlapping, but we do see a Rumble early pick, and it looks like they're going to try to fix that up for us real quick.
I also saw the Annie plus the Rise banned from the side of Top Esports, so we were right on the money right there. The two champions that Doinb could use to his advantage to take control over in the mid lane. Oh, this is so nostalgic, by the way. We're going back to the old picks and bans. Okay. All right.
Wow, okay. Wow, we get the full screen here as take a look here at Top Esports. Starting off on the blue side, we saw that Rumble early locked in for them. And now with Doinb, without some of his favorite champions that he's really thrived on throughout both this season and throughout his career. Interested to see where he turns to specifically. We've seen him use the Pantheon in the mid lane, although I don't think it's necessarily the best look for him. Mostly that is a jungler at this point. I think Aki would rather be the one to play in this one.
Is that Xin Zhao Talia? Possibly? It's never happened before. What a weird rotation right here. Rumble, Xin Zhao Talia. Very, very strong. And I feel like I'm with you on this one. I'm wondering what Doinb has in that mid lane, particularly because the Rise has been, in general, so successful at what he wants to do. But if things like the Corki gets locked in here for the set of Top Esports, because they're hovering it, only 2 seconds left, it's not going to be. I was about to say Talia would be a fantastic pick right here for Doinb. I like the Galio as well. Does follow up really nicely, does have the semi-global, can actually help and assist Aki in the jungle with that Pantheon to try and take a little bit more of an aggressive approach, potentially towards the top side of the map for solo kill, now that the Rumble has been locked in for the side of Top Esports.
So waiting for this final pick in the first rotation is actually going to be the Scion, likely going towards solo kill up in the top lane. Did pretty well on it, I believe, in game number 1 of their series against Weibo Gaming, but the Scion is a pick that has really risen in priority. You are kind of giving the Rumble a free lane, a free setup for 369 to kind of take over things, so I don't know how much that's going to impact things, but at least NIP setting themselves up for this team fight.
I am just a tad bit confused. I was about to say Scion makes so much more sense here if you want to prioritize it over the Galio, because there's no AD carries that can kill Scion very easily. One of them being the Kai'Sa. Of course, JackeyLove on the other side has a world skin on it, who can go the Kraken Slayer plus on-hit route. But right here currently, NIP are banning lane bullies, and of course lane bully the Ezreal together with something like the Karma, can really hard shove, Lucian Naomi that we've seen the bot lane of Top Esports play before. However, Kai'Sa still up for grabs, one of those AD carries that does like to kill tanks, again can go for the on-hit Kraken Slayer route, and Galio was not taken out of the equation, so I wouldn't be surprised if NIP choose to play for that.
Still definitely a valid option, is you'd have a lot of those semi-globals, kind of a third one locked in here if that Scion has the unstoppable onslaught as well. Instead, it's going to be the Sylas picked up here for NIP. Doinb going to likely be piloting that one. Has a lot of good ultimates to steal so far. The Crescent Guard, the Equalizer can definitely provide a lot of value. And they're going to leave that last pick probably towards Crisp unless they're sending that Pantheon into the bot lane, which I don't expect to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be most likely a pick over on the bot side of the map. But right here, seeing how there's quite a bit of engage tools, like with Sylas as well, you could potentially go for something like a Braum if you want it over in the bot lane, assuming right here that Top Esports go for something like an engage support, like an Alistar or a Rel or anything along those lines. And you really need to win a lane on the side of NIP, and as you have left your support as R5, which is traditionally what a lot of teams do, you could potentially lock in something like a Braum to try and play to win that bot of the map and give Pantheon, give Aki a side to play for.
So Rel's going to get locked in here alongside the Misfortune for JackeyLove. We've seen him actually probably be one of the first players to really prioritize this bot lane pick, and obviously has risen a lot in priority. I see a lot of big AoE teamfight damage here that Top Esports are going to throw out. The Alistar for ppgod would make a lot of sense, a nice counter into the Rel specifically in the laning phase, and that will be the selection here. So NIP set themselves up a very bruisery composition. They're going to want to scrap, they're going to want to fight kind of these long extended team fights here, and they have a lot of semi-globals to also get it done.
There's literally 4 beef bros and a Varus on the side of NIP. Because if you think about it, Sylas is sort of like an AP bruiser. He's not necessarily a mage. He's not as squishy as you think he is. So there's 4 champions that really like to buy time in front of a Varus. And seeing as this is most likely going to be a lethality Varus, because there's a lot of squishiness on the side of Top Esports, I fear that if Top Esports cannot get ahead in the early game, it's going to be very, very difficult to burn through the Sion later on. You don't necessarily really have champions that like to kill tanks, apart from that Rumble up in the top lane, who, sure, it's going to work early on the 1 to 2 items burning down the Sion, but later on it's going to be so difficult to take them down.
And with that being said, I'm excited to see what the mid-jungle here for NIP is able to do. Aki and Doinb, they were able to coordinate around the map well in their series against Weibo yesterday. Now on 2 bruisery, roam-heavy picks like the Pantheon and the Sylas, especially right now with the bot lanes currently kind of shifting away from that lane-focused, you know, style. There's no enchanters. It is full engaged supports down here for these guys. I expect the grubs to be a very early priority. If Aki and Doinb can allow NIP to set themselves up around that nicely, that would be a really big win for them, specifically to start this game off.
What I'm really worried about right here is, we talked about early on how Top Esports, if they run on all cylinders, they're a very scary team. They've got every champion they need to be that scary team. JackeyLove on Misfortune, Crisp on an engaged support. They've got Creme and Kanavi on one of the best mid-jungle duos to take control over in the early. Can they actually do it?
Or can NIP continue their success here, as we are in their home arena of Shenzhen? We get a nice little graphic to open things up. It's game number 1 of this series between NIP and Top Esports. We'll see if our top team in the LPL will get challenged at all by the home squad.
So many pings going down in this early game. Kanavi and Creme looking to potentially just drop a ward right there. Yeah, I'm gonna drop it down, walk straight out. It has been spotted, so I wonder if Aki is actually gonna walk around or even start at Raptors. There's 2 things you can do when your Raptors are being warded. You either start at Raptors and then you completely disappear off of vision, or you can start at Red Buff, do Krugs, and then wrap around Raptors and go over to your blue side. If if you're on red side, of course, like Aki is here. But he's gonna choose to do the first. He's gonna start at his Raptors that have been warded, and then he's most likely gonna disappear into Fog of War, and you will not know whether he went bot side or top side.
Just one little adjustment here that somebody like Aki will be able to make, knowing that that vision was placed down early on by the Talia and the Xin Zhao. You can see immediately going towards the Krugs, and we'll see how well he is able to actually navigate that Fog of War, as I think right now Top Esports are definitely very aware that he will be pathing towards the bot side eventually. The question is just how soon.
Alright, our 2 junglers right here are obviously pathing towards different sides of the map. Kanavi pathing towards the top side. Of course, Aliyah Rumble can push in early, so he's gonna get free access to that river to get the Skull Crab. I feel it has been the case for a lot of the junglers. Hold up.
Yeah, level 2 hit first by Leave and ppgod, and that forced a couple of summoner spells, specifically off of the Alistar, who burned both of them onto Jackie, who just had to use his cleanse. But you can see they are really trying to play aggressive down here in the bottom lane.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. That is crazy. That's some crazy stuff right here from Kanavi. Clearing out bot quadrant straight into bot lane gank. There are no wards down there for NIP.
Yeah, it's going to be a very risky gank if it does not go well, but they know ppgod does not have any summoner spells, so they can go straight onto the cow. Third knockup will be available here for Kanavi, and he will find it for first blood to Top Esports. The response is a gank in the mid lane for Aki and Doinb, but they are only able to burn the flash of Creme.
Yeah, and right here, as he got the first blood, he's actually going to be able to back. Does he actually have Tunneler in his inventory? Not quite. He's going to have the longsword. Of course, he didn't clear the top side of the map. What am I talking about? He's going to have the longsword and the ruby crystal, but that team seems so much stronger on the map right now. Aki did get that gank off in the mid lane and did take Creme's both summoners after Creme had to TP back into that mid lane. However, right now on the map in terms of strength, Kanavi with the longsword and the ruby crystal in his inventory, he's going to be stronger. I wouldn't even be surprised to see maybe a clear and then maybe trying to contest a double scalper right here, depending on where his bot lane heads off to.
Yeah, I'm curious to see just how quick Kanavi is able to get out back onto the map, if he will try to finish off that full clear or maybe focus on those crabs. Again, Aki went for a similar play. As soon as the bot lane gank happened for Kanavi, Aki went straight mid lane. However, it only resulted in a flash being burned from Creme. No kills going over. So Aki is going to have to revisit that position in order to find that advantage back for NIP to get themselves back on even footing a little bit in this game.
Oh, what's the minimap? What's the minimap? Both Kanavi and Aki have pinged the Raptors. Okay, Kanavi is going to take the Scuttle Crab, but they were both pinged. They were both pinged by the 2 junglers. to go to the Raptor camp. Kanavi's actually heading there right now. He's using the TP timer from Doinb to try and contest. It's a little bit too late, but now he can actually beeline it. Look at the inventory of Aki. He hasn't backed yet. That's a level 4 Zinzal versus a level 4 Pantheon. However, the extra Rubik Crystal and Long Sword allows Kanavi to play a lot more aggressive in this river, but he doesn't have friends.
Yeah, the bot lane push from leaving ppgod. Gonna allow for Aki to take this one, despite the fact that he doesn't have a smite, and Kanavi could have been able to steal it away from him by using that spell, but just a little bit too risky, all things considered. As now, Jackie and Chris definitely know that Aki's in the area, so they have to be very cautious about how aggressive they want to play here. But speaking of cautious, Leave definitely has to be as well, as he gets knocked up by the crash down, but it's going to be matched here by Aki rejoining the fray. Kanavi here as well, when becomes lightning comes through, but there's no audacious charge to continue the chase, and so the rest of the NIP team will back on out.
Yeah, if you look at the minimap as well, Creme was already on his way down bot lane. He's not going to be lining back towards mid to try and push out the wave that Doinb has been trying to crash. Once you saw Creme heading towards the bottom of the map, and we still have a 3v3 going strong towards that bot side. Of course, Aki has to stay around since the wave has been pushed way further than the midpoint on that bot lane, so he's actually shadowing his bot lane to crash in that wave. And once they do, they're just going to reset. I am expecting to potentially even see a swap towards the top side of the map. A lot of teams have been doing this, where if they don't want to fight, they'll play towards the top side of the map, and then they will trade void grabs and pressure towards the top side of the map for that early dragon. But I feel like trading an early dragon to top esports is never going to go well. And looking at the minimap right now, the bot lane from NIP was heading bot, and then they just turned around and started going top.
I think, yeah, we discussed it a little bit going into the draft, but with the fact that it's not like double enchanter lanes in the bottom side, the scrubs are going to be very important, and we're going to get some maybe callback to the Noxus patch a little bit when teams would just rotate up to around that top side, because NIP definitely want to skirmish here early on. And again, to clarify things here, they're definitely still the underdogs in this series against top esports, even though they picked up a win against Weibo yesterday and are maybe gaining some momentum. We're not expecting them to necessarily, be the favorites against top, who's, again, the kings of the LPL so far this season. But anything can kind of happen here, and NIP want to scrap. They're going to try to do it here around these grubs.
Oh, Kanavi was just about hiding into Fog of War. ppgod overextends. It's anywhere near that pixel bush right there. He's going to get jumped on by Kanavi. He's going to turn around, go for that grub. Frog. You know what? There's too many that sound the same.
Yeah.
Crab, Krug, Grub. Krug. There you go. Thank you. But right now, you are most likely trading. Look at the insta swap from NIP coming through. Reminder, this was the team that brought lane swaps, guys. This was the team that in 2024 brought back lane swaps. So they're really, really good at rotating around the map. A lot of the pieces have remained the same. Some of the pieces have swapped around. But Aki would know about lane swaps because he was there. And right now, you are pretty much leaving that dragon uncontested, going over to NIP. Kanavi has no interest in walking into this river whatsoever.
So some time to go for the grubs, and also time for solo kill to maybe find one of those on to JackeyLove. Already has to flash away, but solo kill has a lot of damage still to work with and just refuses to go down. The big beefy Scion picks up from the 1v1 kill, but all of a sudden that 1v1 has become a 1v2 as 369 and Crisp have arrived. Solo kill will try his best to clear out this wave, but he's going to be very happy with this situation. A good death overall, as some Europeans would like to say, as solo kill gets on the board for NIP.
Absolutely, the solo bolo coming through for solo kill on the top side. I'm not sure what JackeyLove was thinking right there. Level 5 into a level 7 Scion at that point. Walking up to lane, trying to crash the wave. Crisp had already roamed mid, and these are the situations where you start questioning top esports, right? They let go of that dragon down bot lane, yet the team actually started moving as if they were trying to contest. Thought that they didn't have setup, but the Kanavi didn't look interested into taking that, and JackeyLove was left all alone, overextended, and it ends up getting punished. As Doinb has got to burn his flash right here to get away from a Taliyah W. But again, these are the situations that make you question top esports as like the top team of the LPL. They had no business like getting JackeyLove killed right there for once, and two, moving to contest a dragon that was never theirs.
They will eventually get all 3 grubs off of that place. Kanavi's able to grab those, but it comes at the cost of Leave picking up 2 plates for himself towards the bot lane. Let's see how this play started off. JackeyLove wanted a plate, and that was his fatal flaw in that fight.
Okay, you know what? I'm actually going to expose us right now.
Okay.
We were chatting on whether Top Esports was going to be really good, and Jackie was going to have his classic content moments here and there, right? Or a lot of the times we've seen Top Esports not necessarily perform their best, and then JackeyLove puts his game face on and tries to drag them across the finish line. You said it's going to be the first one. JackeyLove throws some content here and there. So far, it's working.
You know, JackeyLove always wants to keep things interesting, keep the games a little bit closer.
He delivers.
For better or for worse here, making us entertained at least on the desk. And unfortunately for him, that resulted in him dying a little bit earlier than expected here in this game. The rest of his team doing very well for themselves, you know, specifically 369 farming out very nicely. Kanavi getting that first blood kill, definitely getting him at slight advantage over Aki in this matchup. Then it's Jackie. Only death so far for Top Esports. We're gonna keep our eye on you, man, for the rest of this game.
You know,
don't have it happen again.
Real deaths don't really matter, you know, just the content deaths really truly matter. I remember a particular dash on Lucian into 3 people. That was fun. That was fun.
Yeah.
And he's 2 series ago, I believe. I don't think it was versus AL. I can't remember which team it was versus, but hey, that was fun as well. But the map dead even. You're right, 700 gold difference between the 2 teams doesn't really account to anything. However, if you look in the inventories, the Leandris already completed for 369. I feel like Top Esports, if they want to play around neutral objectives right now, they have to leverage the fact that 369 is ahead of the curve versus anyone else, and they have to use that Leandris early on. I feel like if they want to fight with the Misfortune as well, you need to wait for that Bloodthirster. It's such a huge spike for Misfortune, makes it a little bit more tanky as well, can withstand, you know, playing against the Silas and the Bandit that are definitely going to be trying to find ways to dive into the backline.
Yeah, you get the added ability to stay at full HP, which will help out your W as well. Very useful item overall is that Bloodthirster. It seems like there's not a lot of neutral objectives to fight for on the map though right now. So I think at this point, Top Esports are okay with kind of just waiting to scale up. I think overall their composition does decently well in those late game team fights, but so does NIP's, to be fair, as we're starting to see them kind of scale as well. We didn't mention this really at the top of the game, but Leave is going for the on-hit Varus build with that Blade of the Ruined King going to come in first. So we'll help him a little bit in terms of dishing out some additional damage. Crisp going to get caught out here by everybody of NIP. It's 3 members collapsing upon the realm to take her down. And now Kanavi is going to be the next target as Top Esports just overstaying their welcome. 5 members in the mid lane for NIP are going to get themselves the Feat of Warfare.
Yeah, on the other side, 369 is trying to take a couple of tower platings, but that was an overextension right there. Crisp and Kanavi group up together to try and get some vision as the Dragon's coming up in 30 seconds and they want to have some setup to fight for it, right? As the first key items are starting to come through from Top Esports. But huge props to NIP for grouping up, pulling the TP through from solo kill as well to try and solidify the first 2 kills. And we said that potentially their win versus Weibo gaming wasn't the one that was going to solidify the fact that NIP are back with the addition of solo kill into the roster. However, getting a key victory right here versus Top Esports, they could then reinsert themselves in that conversation for top 3, top 4 over in the LPL. And stats right here, so far that early game has gone really, really well for them. And you mentioned as well, their whole team scaling on Kid Varus as well scales really, really nicely into the late game. Specifically when things like the Jack Show is coming through later on in his build, and he does get tankier too. So if Top Esports don't manage to snowball that advantage, particularly through that top side of the map that they have on the Rumble, it might be a little tough for them in that late game.
Yeah, and even though there's a fair amount of damage from Top Esports, looks like they're still not going to be relenting on that pressure as NIP going in for another play on a 369, who is the strongest member at this point for Top. They force his flash, they force 369 to back on away, and top side is now controlled by Ninjas in Pyjamas.
However, for Top Esports, I feel like this is fine, because Kanavi was looking at the Dragon anyway. They want to stop the stacking. TP is going to come through from 369 to push down that bot lane wave, as Crisp is shadowing Creme over on the top side to not get dived. There is plenty of vision in general, as you mentioned, over on the top side of the map for NIP. Of course, trying to keep Leave alive at this point. He does have a couple of items. He's looking for his Blade of the Ruined King to come through as a first item for the Varus. And so far, so good. We go back to pretty much dead even. You'll see that, again, majority of the gold lead lies on 369's Rumble, but the rest of the map is dead even everywhere.
Yeah, and again, just NIP is starting to try to claw back towards the standings, this is not the position that they were hoping to be in at this point in the year. They started off Group Ascend 2-1. They then lost 7 matches in a row until that streak was finally broken by that 2-0 over Weibo Gaming, who is certainly a formidable opponent in their own right. But if they're able to play a competitive series, even the series against Top Esports, first of all, we'd be in just such a crazy position that nobody would truly understand here in Group Ascend. But it would make them feel pretty good about themselves going in. Yeah, I mean, honestly, maybe not. I mean, they've been playing...
Like, yesterday was a full day of upsets. Then AL also beat Top Esports. So would we really be surprised? It would just be classic LPL action, right?
That's just, yeah, the story of what this split 2 in the Ascend group has looked like. Just random teams beating random teams. It's like Doinb might get caught out here a little bit. He steals with the Crescent Guard, but I don't know if it's going to buy him enough time. He jumps over the Weaver's Wall, but he's going to get flicked right back by the seismic shove, and JackeyLove will pick up the kill.
Actually, the knock-up right there did not allow him to flash over that Thalia W. He could have potentially flashed over the wall. There were, of course, other flashes that could follow through from the side of Top Esports, but I'm happy to see that Doinb did not actually burn his flash right here. I think the later fights to come are going to be much more important for him. But with 17 seconds on a death timer and no TP from the side of Doinb, I don't think NIP do have much business in looking up this river to try and contest. As you see, SoloKill has positioned himself in the river to try and do the full run from bot to top with the ultimate, but it's not going to be the case. He's going to return down the bot lane to push out the wave.
So that's just a big swing of things for Top Esports. Not only do they get the kill on the Doinb, they pick up the Rift Herald, and they'll likely break open this top lane tier 1 turret that will get them first turret, that will get them the full feats of strength. And overall, Top Esports feeling very good about where this game is once again. That lead jumping back up to 2K.
A little bit more split even on the lead that they have in the gold leaders right now between the Thalia and the Rumble. Guess what? They still don't have a Sion killer. The later this game goes, the stonks are rising for SoloKill onto the Sion if they can actually manage to properly form a front to back from the side of NIP. Mind you though, Top Esports have 2 really big teamfight disruptors. Hold up.
Yeah, there's that Sion immediately making an impact as there comes that Beef Squad once again down to the bot lane. They shut down 369 and pick up another kill for NIP. Response though for Top will be popping that Rift Trail for Kanavi in the mid lane. They're going to try to break open this tier 1. They will be able to do that successfully, but they are losing waves in their side lanes as we speak as well.
Yeah, great pick right here from NIP. They are going to pay with the mid lane tower, as you mentioned as well. Really quick response from Top Esports, losing their top laner, taking something in return right here. You'll see Creme heading towards the top side to respond to the wave. There is no TP from 369, so unfortunately for Top Esports, they're going to lose their bot lane tower. However, again, from NIP, grabbing those skills early on Pantheon, on Sion, to try and snowball further towards that late game is actually super, super key. As you see, first items are starting to come through for everyone on the reef right now. We've got a minute and a half until the next dragon. Talking about the front to back of NIP, I was saying that Thalia and Xin Zhao are great teamfight disruptors. They can split apart fights. They can actually stop a formation from happening, the classic front to back that we talk about for NIP, and particularly on that rift on the bot side of the map. That wall that you're seeing the banners on towards the bot side is a key wall that can actually disrupt fights and split apart front to backs.
Well, here's the question though, Trouble. Like, do NIP even want to play that full front to back? Obviously, Leave on the Varus is gonna have to be protected somewhat, but I think right now there's 4 tanky melee champions that could just go in, dive the back line, play very aggressive, play disruptive League of Legends. So that I think is going to be what NIP's game plan is going to be. They set up a very fun composition for themselves where they're going to just send those health bars straight in to anybody on Top Esports and see if anyone can take them down. It's going to be an interesting watch for sure.
Absolutely. And I feel like right here you see JackeyLove going straight for the extra armor pen in the inventory. Yep. Last Whisper instantly purchased into Lord Dobbs, like try to break the armor before the armor bundles up onto the Sion, right? As they're walking SoloKill.
That decimating smash, but he's immediately going to get dashed on here by Kanavi. The Weaver's Wall is big by splitting Leave up for the rest of his team. The Magnus Storm will find 2 from Chris, but not a ton of damage so far really dealt just yet for Top Esports. And it's SoloKill to pick up the first one here. It's traded back as the bullet time will take down the Sion. and it's 1-for-1 overall so far in this fight. Doinb has the flash with the seismic shove. Aki lands a nice stun. Doinb steals away the crescent guard and is able to pick up the kill on Kanavi. ppgod jumps in with a 2-man pull, and now Ninjas and Pyjamas are starting to come back here in this fight. Doinb will drop, and 369's burning leaf down to the back end of things. It is a wild one here around the Dragon Side River, but Top Esports will come out on top. It's a double for 369, and ppgod the lone survivor.
Wow, what a fight, actually, right? I am mind-blown. Top Esports got out of this fight alive. It was an absolute bloodbath, but they put themselves in that situation. I literally talked about this wall over the top side of the river, and I'm like, you put yourself there, you put yourself in being sandwiched, and look at this. Silas on the right, the rest of NIP on the left, JackeyLove in the midst of everything. Only Creme is playing it safe right here, playing over the wall. JackeyLove literally stands still to cast bullet time, but Kanavi saves him last second from Doinb hitting his E on him by ulting him away. And then Top Esports win that fight, but then recommit into the same exact position that really put them into a tough one. Luckily for them, 369 gold came out on top right here, and they were able to take this fight down. But I'm not gonna lie to you, the positioning right here and then re-engaging in the same exact positioning would be very, very sketchy for Top Esports.
It was a close fight, all things considered, but overall, at the end of the day, it was Top Esports to come out on top. You have to give a lot of credit to 369 on the Rumble there, doing a ton of damage, burning down Leave, specifically on the back end of things. Then the rest of the Beef Squad, not really as beefy as we're hoping them to be, as Dragon already has been picked up for top, but now NIP want to try to complete the collapse. Teleport came in from Doinb. They're looking for Chris. He's going to be able to jump to the wall with the crash down. Solo kill. Kind of 1v3ing at this point. He's going to get flicked right back with the seismic shove. Equalizer comes out. It's the one that was stolen away, I believe, by Doinb. And so it means that NIP are going to get out with their lives, but it's overall Top Esports happy about things because they were able to pick up the Dragon.
Pick up the Dragon and they drive NIP out, but
Creme! Creme's completely caught out. He gets set up by the abscond abduct of Doinb, and the piercing arrow from Leave will take him down here. Now here comes Chris. Oh, there's a really nice Magnus Storm combined with the Equalizer. The Wombo combo will just burn Leave down from 2 screens away. But look at the back line. It's Doinb and Aki doing some work as well, but the work is just not enough. 369 is massive on this Rumble. Overheated onto Aki, getting himself the double kill, and now it's only ppgod left alive. Chris gonna try to stun him down. There goes Kanavi, and it's a full ace picked up here for Top Esports.
Hey, all I'm going to say, that top side for Top Esports is bailing them out right now. Not that I blame Creme for trying to shove down that bot lane. However, Top Esports wrapping around really nice flanks, hiding in the bush from NIP. And let's watch this one more time. ppgod hiding in the bush, just like Faker does in his account. They grab Creme right there, and this is a 4 versus 5 that Top Esports commit into. And look at this, no one's protecting JackeyLove. Bottom left of your screens. Doinb jumps in, then Aki jumps in. However, 369 is just cleaning up house. That Rumble is absolutely massive. And we said from the beginning, if Top Esports would manage to snowball the extra goal they have on this Rumble, they'd be able to get past the point where they cannot break through the Scion. Now we're talking about 2 items Rumble. He's got the extra boots upgrades. He's got the Seeker's arm guard in his inventory as well. The extra safety right there for the next fight. 369 is truly set up to carry this game for Top Esports.
Yeah, and this was kind of the issue of picking the Scion into the Rumble. You're going to be able to do fine as a Scion, but you're also giving 369 a free lane, and he's been able to take advantage of that in full. 6-1-4, as you mentioned. He's 3,000 gold ahead of the Scion at this point. He's a massive player in this game. And now they're going to look for another fight. Here goes Creme. A really nice seismic shove will find 2. The blast cone away is not going to save ppgod. Kanavi will then pick it up. Another 2 kills go the way of Top Esports as they're starting to run away here with this game.
Yeah, pings on the Atakan as well. 2 members down, no smite for NIP. Free Atakan on the bot side for Top Esports. Extra flowers for the bouquet, and honestly, the early game didn't look as stable. However, again, that top side of the map has been absolutely stellar. The disruptive abilities from Kanavi to break apart the fights, not allow NIP to front to back. 369 has had incredible flanks. I believe he's found Leave every single fight. Talking about Leave though.
He dodged away from the shove, but here comes 369 with the Equalizer. That's not fair. as you can see the start of that power of the Thornbound Otacon just a little bit on display here as they take down the lead in the top side. Here comes the response though from NIP. They send their top side down bottom lane to try to take down JackeyLove, but Kanavi is too big. He's going to try to solo out Aki and will do so successfully. Finally, Doinb with the stolen away Magnet Storm will take it down JackeyLove, but now the rest of the team has arrived. Creme coming with a TP, going to try to save the day here for his squad, but Doinb is starting to come online as well, and NIP find a fight right back.
Great skirmish right here from NIP. They see 369 up top lane without the TP and they instantly pick a fight. On top Esports, reminder, all this gold lead is primarily on the Rumble. So the fact that Rumble could not join was the key factor for NIP to press their W buttons forward. And it actually worked for them. They got a couple of shutdowns right there. They shut down Kanavi. They got a couple of kills on key carries. And a few more items are starting to pile up in the inventories right now. The Black Cleaver, the Rift Maker, the Rage Blade as well for Leave. 3 items for Leave right here. And you could say that this virus is truly well online in this game.
It's true. Starting to get there. And that's where NIP can maybe see a little bit of a semblance of hope for themselves. But the gold lead really balancing against them. It's almost 5,500 for top esports. A lot of it, as we said, is on that top side, but we saw how strong Kanavi is now with the Black Cleaver completed. He's 1v1ing Aki at this point, a full level ahead of him. And all that to say, when the top side for top esports is around, it will not be as fair of a fight for Ninjas and Pyjamas, as they're going to need to continue to find picks, find these numbers advantages, find top esports caught off guard without the full force of their squad kind of all together at the same time.
Yeah, and right here, Doinb is hearing you. He's like, hey, since Rumble is joining for this fight, and it's only going to be sole point for top esports, might as well push the top side of the map. It's a bit uncontested right now, so he gets to get a level 16 onto his Sylas, 3 points onto his ultimate ability, gain a bit more gold through that push that he had over on the top side, grabbing the tower as well. So a little bit of gold influx into his inventory. Is that going to be a Seeker's Arm Guard? It is going to be a Seeker's Arm Guard. Trying to play like for a little bit of the surprise factor, I want to say. A lot of the times it is surprising, but a lot of the times you tend to forget that this Seekers is in someone's inventory, so if you overcommit, it can be a big surprise, and it has turned a lot of fights around. I think the most important thing, though, would be Terminus, probably being what Leave is building as his third. Again, a lot of defenses on that Varus could be huge. You've got 2 items now onto your side as well, so he should be able to withstand a little bit more of that damage thrown his way. And we'll see if NIP can actually get a proper front-to-back going for them.
Yeah, because we mentioned the way NIP want to play the game. Not a ton of protection for Leave. It's the tanks like Scion are dashing forward like this on a JackeyLove, but it's responded to with a huge Magnet Storm from Chris. Combined with that bullet time, it's bursting down the front line of Ninjas and Pyjamas. They've already lost 2, and now it's Doinb stuck in the middle of everything with a Crescent Guard. Leave just gets bursted instantaneously. Doinb popping the Zonies, but it's far too late. Top esports dominate the fight that Ninjas and Pyjamas started, and they'll find themselves the Baron as a reward.
See, that's the magic of JackeyLove, everyone. You think he's inting, he's not inting. It's a call an ambulance, but not for me incident. They overextend, it's too far close to the tower. Top esports were around, instantly respond to it. And again, Kanavi playing such a huge part in this fight. What's this? They're like, oh, it's a classic JackeyLove. He's overextending. He's getting very greedy for the wave. They pull in the TPs. They pull in the Scion ult. They pull in the Pantheon ult. But everyone is around. And look at Kanavi right here. He's gonna pop his ult and instantly dive onto Leave. We mentioned how important it is that this virus stands still to try and ult attack. Kanavi takes him straight out.
I was just about to say before that fight unraveled that the Terminus might help somebody like Leave stay alive for a little bit longer in these fights, but that clearly did not end up becoming the case, as not tanky enough just yet with Kanavi diving on top of him. And I'm very surprised that NIP went for that kill. They threw both of their ultimates straight down the mid lane when there's still that tier 1 tower available that JackeyLove was just able to retreat to. So a big mistake there from NIP, I think over-forcing a little bit on that fight. And now they've given up the Baron. They're going to have to try to withstand this onslaught that top esports are going to have. They have all 3 grubs. They have the Baron. These towers are going to melt.
Looking at this Rumble, he's level 17. ppgod is level 12. He is 5 levels up on the support on the other side. 3 items. Hourglass coming back up. He's got his upgraded boots. 369 is an absolute monster on the Rift right now. Creme is going to push in that mid lane wave as well, so they can have 2 sides of pressure for the set of top esports. So now one wave got burned. They're going to wait for the other one so they can shift a little bit of that pressure towards that mid side. However, majority of top esports is going to group up over in the bot lane because the is much easier to join with Weaver's Wall as well. Next wave is coming through. The top esports is going to walk it up.
Yep, that inhibitor tower already just melting. The inhibitor likely to follow here in the bot lane. There's another wave of supers, or Baron up minions, I should say, cruising down the mid lane as we speak as well. Still so much time on this Baron power play, and NIP got to do something quickly. Otherwise, the game is just going to end. Their base is going to be in disarray, and they're going to try to do something here with the Grand Starfall and the Unstoppable Onslaught, but it only finds Chris so far. The bullet time is once again huge, but there's a big knockup that comes through from ppgod. Will it be enough to save the fight here for NIP? Leave gets caught up, and Creme was still untouched on the back line. And the answer to that, her first question, was undoubtedly no. NIP looked for the angle, but they weren't able to find it. They pick up 4 kills, and top esports are still marching down the mid lane, and they're going to end this game.
And that TP coming through as well for 369, coming back to seal the deal. His 4th item in the inventory, and only Aki left alive to defend the base.
Not going to be able to do so. Blocking a little bit of damage. The side mix shove comes through. And a clinic in game number 1 here for top esports, proving why they're the #1 team here in the LPL, making a statement game 1 win over NIP.
Oof. Who angered them? I mean, we know who angered them, I guess.
It was AL.
Yeah, it was AL. Top esports, I won't say the early game looked the cleanest, but I'm so happy to see 369 in this form, man. Especially when a team B wants a rumble just like this, to see the rumble actually pop off in the early game. Of course, Kanavi did give some attention towards the top side of the map, but I feel like Kanavi and 369 truly did push this game forward for top esports, and they are the 2 players that we're looking to shine, especially with 369 or something a little bit more aggro, other than like the tanks he's been put to play early on in the season.
If you give him the rumble, he's going to lock it in, and we saw what he's able to do with it there in that game. An excellent performance for him. Would not be surprised if he runs away with that player of the game here for this first matchup, as top esports take that 1-0 lead over NIP, and it looks like maybe that magic for NIP against Weibo yesterday, not going to work the same specifically here against, again, the team that is currently first in the standings.
I feel like there was some sort of NIP magic happening. Like, they found their ways to play the game, but I just felt like half of the team wanted to dive in, half of the other team wanted to stay behind, and they had an on-hit Flowers. If you are going to play for an on-hit AD carry, you sort of have to keep a formation, you sort of have to play the front to back. You cannot allow things like the Zinzao or the Rumble to get into the backline. I just feel like Leave wasn't necessarily given the terrain to play the AD carry, to stand still and ramp up with the Rage Blade and actually do some damage in these fights. I actually personally don't think he needed to. I feel like there wasn't anyone that was particularly tanky that the on-hit virus was needed for. And it could have been a case of, you go lethality, maybe you can actually help kill those backline targets with an arrow flying through. But this wasn't the case. We saw a few attempts, it just didn't work out. I feel like top esports were super quick in replying to those super hard engages from the side of NIP.
Yeah, and the go buttons were pressed a lot by NIP, but maybe just not at the best times as well. Top esports seemed like they were prepared for any of those initial onslaughts very well, across multiple times throughout that first game. And the couple of times that it looked like NIP were actually able to find something, it was because 369 wasn't there, right? And so without him there, it results in being a little bit more of a fair fight. But take a look at this gold graph. Very top esports favored, especially as we got towards the 15-20 minute mark. Everybody really contributing. The bullet times from JackeyLove, I think, adding significantly to that damage Delta Champions chart.
And look at the damage in general, the distribution. Like, you could lose 369, but Kanavi on this Zinzao, like, I've not seen damage coming through from a Zinzao in a very long time, specifically against like tanky targets as well, like the Scion and whatnot. JackeyLove, Creme, like, they all fully contributed. You lost one member, you had 3 more that could pump that damage out from the sort of top esports. And I feel like NIP is very lucky because these champions are now gone from the side of top esports, but I feel like you gave them their best sort of composition and champions once they can play really aggro. Misfortune on Jackie, you've got Kanavi on Zinzao. Now you need to lock it in. Now you need to play for potentially what I'm assuming is going to be a blue side for the side of NIP. Maybe look for something that roams just a little bit more for Doinb, because by the time Doinb came online, the game was already too far gone.
Yeah, I mean, the Silas can sometimes have that roaming potential, but when you go for things like the Roa specifically, it creates situations where you're going to want to maybe scale up a little bit more. I also don't love the Scion for solo kill. I feel like his best games so far have been on bruisers and things that you can maybe find some more solo kills on, specifically in the top lane 1v1. And so maybe that could be an angle for NIP to look towards as well. A lot of struggles here for them. Seemed like they were not super coordinated on how they wanted to execute some of these team fights. Leave felt like he was left out to dry a ton, even though there were some good moments.
Yeah, like this one, for example, they managed to get a pick over on the side lane, right? And even though this looked like an NIP favorite fight, you mentioned Leave. Look at Leave. He's stuck over on the top side of the map with the rest of the team from top esports, and JackeyLove is going to end up going down. There's way too many things committed, though, for JackeyLove to go down, and by the time he does, the rest of top esports has dispatched of the other members that we talked about earlier, and then they're turning their attention to whoever's remaining from the set of NIP. I feel like there were a few whoopsies in drafts right here for NIP. One is you pick the Scion, but then you ban Lucian and Ezreal, who are not particularly good tank healers anyway. So you pick a Scion, but then you play to have a strong bot lane as well, as you are on right side and do have counter pick. So I feel like NIP tried to overcook a little bit right here in the draft. Didn't work out. It showed on the Rift as well with how the team sort of like double perform, dive in, but not really. And it just wasn't an easy game for them to play out.
Yeah, and especially if, our observers seem to be having some beef with Doinb. They're showing every single time he missed a chain, seemingly. This was the big wombo that I think truly broke the game open. It was another instance of NIP kind of overforcing a fight where they didn't really have a super easy engage, and then they send all their tools forward, and it allows for Kanavi to just pick up an easy kill onto Leave, who's really their main source of damage at this point in the game.
Yeah, I feel like the unspoken hero of this game has been Kanavi. I feel like he played a huge disruptive force. You mentioned also not letting Lee play the game. Look at him. Every single time a fight started, he just dive in, press ult, split them apart, formation, gone. And that's why we've been mentioning Xin Zhao as a big teamfight disruptor, because he really does like spreading apart a fight. And especially when you've got so much agency in your team, you don't really care about a formation yourself. So Kanavi did a great job at facilitating so that then Rumble in return can get fed. But I'll agree with you on your list statement. I feel like 369 definitely saved that early game for top esports.
Absolutely. And so they are up 1-0 in this series, as we said, against NIP. Just a little bit until we get our full player of the game prediction. Do you have any calls on who it is? I think it's 369.
It has to be 369. I mean, I don't see a world where he isn't. He saved so many fights, right? He TP'd in, he was taking towers in the side lane. He was ahead in his lane as well, as he should be versus the Sign in the early. There you go, 9-1 and 2. 80% kill participation for a top laner. He's absolutely mind-blowing. Dude was everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, completely popping off on this Rumble. Fortunately for him, won't be available for the rest of the series, but shout out to 369, who I think has been a really big part, even though sometimes it's a little bit, underneath the table of why top esports have found some really good success in both Split 1 and Split 2, especially here on the domestic stage of the LPL. But they still have to close this series out, and we've seen NIP do some magical things before. We'll see if the question remains on if top esports are the most dominant team, or if they'll run away with this one in a 2-0 sweep. We've got the draft for game number 2 between TES